Do you ever feel like you're living on autopilot, just going through the motions without feeling connected to who you truly are? Imagine waking up every day feeling truly aligned, living in sync with your truth and passions. That's the power of authenticity. Keeping you inside, the real you, you don't only deprive the world of who you really are, you're depriving yourself. And why I'm talking about this today is I'm doing a little bit of a rebrand. I'm working on my website and my logo, and I'm doing all this research. I was told that I need a picture of myself on my logo for a podcast. And I saw this fabulous website and it talked about, are you living a life of duality? It was a man and it was talking about men and they have to be tough and keeping themselves inside. But the whole thing about living a life of duality, I completely related to that. I used to live a life of duality decades and decades ago. I totally did when I was actively in my disease and drinking and using and everything else and trying to act like I wasn't and all of that. It was, like I said, decades ago. And I ended up in rehab. And so my life of reality, my life of duality after that was I was so scared as a practicing lawyer that anyone would ever find out that I'd been in rehab. And since I've had this podcast, which it's now been years, my first episode, I had to come out, so to speak, and talk about myself and tell my own story, which I did not want to do. I want to find out all of your stories. We connect through our stories, and everyone has a story, and your story matters. And that's part of being your authentic self. And when you're your authentic self and I'm my authentic self, that's how we connect. Anyway, when I my episode number one, I told this perfunctory nothing the first iteration of it and I knew it sucked. And so I was like, all right. So I deleted that and then I just went blah and I told my story and talked about that I had gone to rehab and nobody said anything. This whole big secret and everything else. Not one person was like, you went through rehab? Nobody cared. And that's when I learned nobody's paying that much attention. Nobody cares. So whatever it is that you're hiding, nobody cares. And that was my this secret and this yeah, I mean some my close friends know and things like that. And it actually provides, besides the fact that it provides an opportunity and a platform, but I can always help other people that maybe need help that didn't know. It's I was just telling somebody the story and she said, I went live with her, Kelsey Aida, last week's episode. She said, how tiring to live a life of duality. And it's true to have any secrets. I always say, this is me, this is I am who I am, and this is it. And so any way that you are hiding yourself or the dream that you secretly want to do that you're not doing it, you feel called here to do, or you're unfulfilled, or you're on that hamster wheel that I talk about, you can get off of that. You really can manifest your best life. And there's steps you can take to reconnect with yourself. There's all kinds of self awareness practices that you can do. There's the journaling, there's mindfulness to be aware of the present moment and meditation helps with that. I'm a big advocate on meditation, obviously, the mindfulness meditation practices, and they help you. I always say somebody was asking me, and this is not original, it's part of what I've learned is mindfulness meditation helps you be aware of the purple flowers when you're walking. And I just love that. Be aware of each step you're taking when you go for a walk. Just think of each step when you place it, when you lift it, when you place the step down again. That's mindful walking. And it may sound silly to you, but as you start doing it, you start being aware of other little things, the leaves on a tree. That's mindful walking. You can also reconnect with your values. What matters most to you? How do your life choices, are they aligning with those values? These are ways to reconnect with you. And as you reconnect with you, you start feeling better about yourself. You start being more of your authentic self and you start being happier with everyone around you. And limiting any kind of external influences, social media, practice saying no. You don't have to say yes to everything that comes to you. For I would try to say yes to things that come to me from the universe, but it doesn't have to be demands upon my time. I'm careful about what I say yes and no to. I can check in with my gut of what's right for me. So I'm of service always. I always want to be of service to others, but I also, if there are work demands and things like that that don't resonate with me, then I allow myself to say no these days. So I am very careful with things like that. And there's also, you can embrace the process of authenticity. It's an ongoing process. It's all peeling the onion, so to speak. There's layers, and we're always like uncovering what's going on with us. And that's why the journaling and meditation, I always say those are the two best things to really get to the root of what's going on. And self-compassion goes such a long way. Just even just putting your hand on your chest and breathing and saying, this too, this belongs. And I'm going to talk for a minute about limiting beliefs. These are things that are preventing you from being your authentic self or doing what it is you really want to do. There's some really common ones. I don't have time, but almost everybody on the planet's probably used this excuse at some point. But when you really want to do something, you make time for it because everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. It's what you do with them that really matters. The I don't deserve love. I think everybody's been in that place at some point. It's a really common limiting belief in relationships. When you think you don't deserve love, you can reject every potential partner, sabotage a current relationship, arguing, and that's just not a way to get through life at all. And when you're having a limiting belief about yourself that you're not good enough or whatever it is, ask yourself, is it true? Is the limiting belief, is it true? And then ask yourself, what's it like to live with this belief? And then ask yourself, where is it in your body? Close your eyes and feel. Ask yourself, what's the belief? It resides someplace in your body. They all do. It's someplace. And then, and you have to sit quietly with this, what is that vulnerable, where does that vulnerable place need? What does it need? And just sit quietly with that and see what's needed. But so the first question is, ask yourself if it's true. What's it like to live with this belief? Where in in your body is it? And what does that vulnerable place need? And it's a way to work through this. And what would you do if you didn't believe there was anything wrong with you? Is a powerful question to ask yourself. If you thought, if where, what would you do if you didn't believe there was anything wrong with you? That's a really good way to get to be your authentic self.